Greetings from the University of Minnesota. Thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. My name is Jim Rowan and I'm in the Graduate Admissions Office here. And I'd like to take a few moments to talk about the University of Minnesota and also maybe provide some tips on applying for graduate education. The University of Minnesota is located in what's called the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. We're in the Midwestern part of the country, and our metropolitan area is home to about 3 million people. When people describe the Twin Cities, it's usually, it will have a very vibrant business activities going on in Minneapolis and St. Paul, surrounded by natural beauty of lakes, and in fact the state of Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. So we think that you will find this a wonderful place to spend some time studying in your graduate career. Now, the University of Minnesota itself is one of the largest research institutions in the United States. We're at the top tier of research institutions, and we are home to about 50,000 students here in the Twin Cities. We also have graduate programs at our campus in Duluth, which is about a 2-hour drive to our north on the shores of Lake Superior, one of the Great Lakes. And also graduate programs in Rochester, Minnesota, which is also home to the world-famous Mayo Clinic. So the University of Minnesota it's a comprehensive university, and we have programs available in just about anything that you might want to study. For instance, we have a College of Liberal Arts, a College of Science and Engineering, a business school, a law school, a medical school, a dental school, veterinary medicine, agriculture-related programs, natural and physical sciences, fine arts and humanities. Really, just about anything that you might be interested in, you should find a niche here at the University of Minnesota. Now, I'd like to mention a few things about applying for admission. This is something that students really need to prepare for in advance. We usually say that the timeline is about 18 months. That means about 18 months ahead of time is when you will start to explore different institutions and start to think about the location and the type of institution it is and the type of program that you're looking for as you narrow down your choices to the ones that you plan to apply for. Then as you get closer to about a year out, you might need to start getting ready for any exams that are needed for the program that you're applying for, such as the GRE or Graduate Record Examination. That might be required for your graduate program. If you are not a native speaker of English, then you're likely going to need to take a TOEFL or an IELTS examination. And then, once we get to about 9 months out, this is when students begin to apply in great numbers. So, for students that begin in the fall or September, that means that they are starting to apply in October and November, with most of the deadlines falling in December 1st or mid-December or January 1st. All of the graduate programs have different deadlines, so you have to look up that information. When you apply, it's all done online. You'll send us electronically, you'll load your transcripts into the application, your scores will be sent to us from the testing agencies, and then you'll have usually 3 letters of recommendation that are needed, and that notification to your recommendation writers is all done electronically, and they can submit the letters directly into the application itself. And very likely you'll have at least one applicant statement that you need to write. So let me just go over those parts again. You have the application itself, your academic records, your transcripts for as far as you've completed up to date, your examination if needed, GRE, TOEFL scores, letters of recommendation, usually 3, and at least one applicant statement, but there might be even 2 or 3 that might be required. So say that you apply in November or December, our graduate programs then begin to notify students, usually starting in January or February. Certainly by this time of year in March, many students are beginning to hear on the result of their application, whether or not they've been admitted. When you apply for admission, if there is funding available, your graduate program will usually consider you for funding at the same time. So if there's a special fellowship, which is like a scholarship, or some type of a position that you might get, such as a graduate assistantship, you'll usually hear about that at the same time that you hear about your admission decision. If they have offered you some type of a financial award with your admission, then they usually are required to allow you until April 15th for you to respond to that decision and for you to make your decision whether you're going to accept that offer. April 15th is a date that's used across the country. So you've made your decision and you've decided to come to the University of Minnesota. If possible, you might want to try to take the opportunity to visit the campus. Many of our graduate programs will invite their newly admitted students for a weekend where you get to meet other graduate students or faculty. Sometimes they'll pay for an airline ticket or a hotel cost for this type of a visit. So you should check with your graduate program about that. Now you have some time to prepare as you're getting ready to begin your program in September. And for international students, that usually will mean submitting the financial certification where you'll indicate that you have the funds to attend here. For the full cost with tuition of about $22,000, if you do not have any type of financial scholarship or assistantship, and living expenses, students do need to indicate that they have about $40,000 for the financial certification. We issue the I-20 form, and then you would usually obtain your visa sometime in the summer, and students begin to arrive on campus here, usually second week of August, to start school in the first week of September. So altogether, that's about an 18-month time frame, and I think that type of advice is certainly not just for the University of Minnesota, but I think what you might be looking at no matter what graduate programs you're interested in the United States. But we certainly do hope that you'll take a strong look at the University of Minnesota, and if possible, come and visit us. We'd love to host you on our campus. Thank you once again for taking the time to visit us today.